Jesus, your family. Oh, that's
Just gonna sit down, enjoy my tea.
He said the podcast is like your family, your brother.
Welcome to a new episode of Fit the Description, a Black Men's podcast where various Black men come together to talk about life, society, entertainment, culture, news, and whatever else we want to talk about from various Black men's perspectives. I'm your host, G, and today we got Adam.
Yo.
And we'll probably get more people coming in at a later time. We'll see what happens. Now, with that being said, make sure on your way in to like and subscribe, share, help us follow, help us grow this brand, help us grow this channel. Make sure to check out our clips channel, Fit the Description, or at Fit the Description Podcast on YouTube, where you can get 2 clips a week and 1 Saturday shorts. And I did want to address that real quick. I know we have been missing on the shorts. There's reasons for that, but by the time this podcast has came out, we have just got back the shorts, so you will be seeing shorts return again, and we should be good to the end of this year. We'll see how long we can keep this going, but the goal is to have at least all these shorts keep coming to the end of this year. So again, you're going to get 2 clips a week and 1 Saturday short, so make sure to check that out. Also, you can check us out on various different podcast platforms. All additional links will be down below. And beyond that, let's go ahead and get started with the podcast. Oh, shoot. Look who just came in right before we started. What else? Keys. There we go. You there?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, man? You sound all depressed.
Trying to get this done.
All right, let's get going. All right, Adam, I'm going to start off with you because we were talking about this on the podcast, and you were talking about homelessness and your feelings on it. I want you to go ahead and start and go ahead and tell us your feelings on homelessness, because I know you had some stuff to say about it.
I'm tired of them asking for my money. I don't care. I don't give a two. That's only if you have some type of mental issue do I somewhat care. And the reason I say that is because when I was 25, I think it was, my car broke down, right? And I had to catch the train from Oceanside to Lancaster, basically. And at that time, that day, apparently the trains stopped running early because there was no construction on the tracks. So I had to spend the whole night, overnight, basically at 6 a.m. in the morning, to get on the train. So I went through a small adventure while I was waiting on the stoops of a church for the train tracks to open. During that period of time, I had ran into some individuals who were homeless, but they weren't homeless. They chose not to live at any place. Thus, they were homeless, but they weren't broke. So they paid for me to get a ticket because they said, basically it was saying, well, you think my money isn't good enough? You can't go get a ticket with my money? And I was like, okay, I'll go buy a ticket then. That's free. I don't have to spend my money. So during that whole little thing, that's when I learned that people are homeless because they choose not to actually own a home. Then you have people that are homeless because of, choices or because of mental conditions. So not everyone falls under that umbrella of just saying they're homeless, because that's a broad category.
Okay, well, I guess my question is, my fault. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
Oh no, I am done. I was just saying there's more to it, but it's mainly that.
Okay, so my question is and this is my main question to you. What do you think should be done about the problem? I know this was a big problem that we were talking about last time. So what do you think should be done about it?
I believe that when it comes to those who are homeless, not by choice, but because of the system and their mental capacity, then, we should help them, or they should get more help, But for those who are homeless because they want to do drugs, they want to be homeless, I don't want to say who, but let's just say some family member that I know chooses to be homeless because they don't want to go by the rules of society. That's basically why they want to be homeless. That particular family member, and let them. You know, there's no help, there's no offering. This is your personal choice. Just like my personal choice is to not be broke and live in squalor. To go take a shower. So look, if you want to be broke, if you want to be homeless, that's okay. Don't come asking me for money, you know. And I hate that too when they sit there with those signs and like, you know, whatever helps and this and that. I see those Nike shoes you got on that look clean as you ain't homeless. You just lazy. You are not about to get whatever little change I got in my car or $1 from my wife because I'm going to keep that. Nope.
So I have a lot of intel about that, but kind of sort of. So yeah, you do have homeless people that are homeless by choice. It's a lot of times it's younger people. Their mom, you know, I went in Hollywood where there was like literally like homeless kids that like hang around Hollywood because they just don't want to go home and deal with whatever rules that they have to deal with at home. That becomes an issue. But sometimes it's deeper than that. I met one person that they didn't want to go home because that their one of their family members was treating them and the other one was mistreating
please
them.
say grape. We're on YouTube. I know it sucks. We can't be folks, but
one of the other was getting sexually touched inappropriately. And the other one who was in charge to when they tried to approach it, you know, it's like go sit down, like they're not acknowledging it. They're saying that they're lying or whatever the case may be. So that person in turn said he basically felt like he was in a felt like she was in a situation where she didn't have no support for what she was going through. From one end, she's getting mentally abused, and the other person is physically abusing them. So they decided to be on the street. So that was their decision because they got tired. They got tired of it, and they don't have many other family that's willing to, you know, be there for them. So they chose to be on the street. Then you got white collar homeless people, which is basically I have a job but I don't have a place to stay. And a lot of times it's not their fault. It's just inflation, the cost of living. Sometimes if they have a car, they live in their car, or they live from place to place. They live on people's sofas, or sometimes they get stuck on the street because they don't have nobody. They don't have any family. They don't have any real friends that they could depend on. And so they end up with working with jobs. I worked at a print shop, and quite often I had kids and stuff, and some adults that would sit there all day long when we started an internet cafe, and they would sit there all day long, and had no idea that they were actually sleeping in the parking lot in their car. I had no clue, you know. And then some of these guys were in high school, you know, so it's like it's so many different situations and scenarios so it's kind of really like you never really know. So it's one of those things. It's like it's your choice to help, right? And you just have to hope that it's going in a place that you want it to. You can't really dictate it. If you choose not to help, you just choose not to help. But I feel like sometimes people tend to uh, use their own line of thinking and give them excuses so, you know, like MJ, right? MJ, he's the GOAT, right? But to me, I feel like he's a bit when I saw him in the interview, he said he was with I believe Charles Barkley. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been a different player, but I believe it was Charles Barkley. And he said Jordan hit the money out of his hand when he went to hand it to a homeless man. And he said if he could, yeah, if he could say, if he can say, ask you for change, he could say, would you like fries with that? And it's funny, I laughed, but at the end of the day, the same people that's talking about the homeless people are the same people that's withholding the jobs. So yeah, he could say, "Would you like fries with that?" But if he goes to an interview, is he going to get that job? Like, because it's like you never know a person's, it's never know a person's situation. You could be perfectly capable of this job, but if a person don't give you the opportunity to have that job, then it doesn't matter, right? But at the end of the day, you still got to survive. You still got to live. You still got to do something, And so I try not to judge people who are homeless because I feel like we all are just a job away from that. Or sometimes some people they live with their parents, other people live with their grandparents, other people stay with friends. And if they didn't have those grandparents, those parents, or those friends, they would be homeless because they can't afford their own place. They don't have first last security funds to, and then on top of that, they got to get approved and everything else. Like it's not as cut straightforward as people think it is. And then it's even hard for people who's working. Like I said, most people are a job away from being homeless. So I think it's a much bigger picture when it comes to homeless people. It's like you said, he said so he had clean shoes on. Well, somebody could have just started, could have been they could have lost everything and they're just now homeless. So now they're on the street and they're like, hey, I got to figure out what to do. I can't find no work, and now I got to degrade myself and ask for change, and that's difficult. That's difficult because they act like they don't notice, but they notice that they don't get treated like human beings. So it's like a really big deal. They just kind of take it on the chin and then they go cry about it later because at the end of the day, it's the fact that it's like, okay, if somebody doesn't help me, I'm going to die. That's their reality. It might be a choice for us or anybody who has money. It's like, okay, I'll choose where my money goes and all this stuff, but to them, it's life or death. You know, it's that. So it's like a whole different look at that point. It's like when I see people when they complain about the homeless, I'm like, okay, would you like to come outside and see a whole bunch of dead people standing sitting on your line because somebody didn't want to give them a sandwich? Because somebody didn't want to give them water because they thought that they could get a job somewhere. Like people don't look at that. Think about the Great Depression when nobody had nothing and they were just dying of starvation on the streets. But that's my take on
Yeah.
homeless. But I think there is a lot. I think it's a bigger problem that everybody kind of have to work together to fix.
Okay.
Now,
And
It,
I think that everything you said was correct. There's
I want to
there's
add. I want to add
nothing
something.
wrong in that.
I want to add something. Oh no, go. But I just want to say after you guys are done, I want to add something.
all right, go ahead, Adam.
Wait. You said you wanted to add something?
Oh yeah. It's going to be a lot though. So if you have something to say, you can say it.
You said I can say it.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that everything you said was true. Now, the reason why I said what I said, well, right now I'm upset about a couple of situations. But you're right. Everything that you said was right about that. Now, I've been homeless not for a long while, but for like 2, 3 months. And I lived out of my car. Um, and I had a whole system that I had worked out that was trying to save money up to actually get a place, and that's hard to save money up while you're already homeless and you kind of got to eat food that's a little bit more expensive because the food that you would get that would last longer or feed you a lot that needs to really be refrigerated outside of noodles and everything. But I mean, what I did when I was homeless, I stayed in my car, but I went to the 24-hour fitness center because at the time, 24 hours fitness, people going in and out, and some type of security rather than going to Walmart. Because I know Walmart people tend to fuck with you or call the police. I would go Walmart food in the gas station. They didn't care. So, Like I've been there. My situation, not situ, excuse me. What I believe though, or my issue is this. So right now, in terms of what you were saying, when you don't want to offer people food or water, I'll offer people food, and there would be some people that do. But you also have some people who are homeless that refuse it. They're like, no, I just want the money. Like I don't need no food. I don't need your. In a sense, it's like them because I had someone tell me this before. Like, I need what I asked you for, or what I'm asking for. It's like, okay, like I understand you might have something you might need to do or whatever, but this is all I have, and I feel like it's usually safer, not safer, but better to give them food or water to help them survive than it is to give them money because you're right. I don't know who or what they might be doing with the money, but where I live around out here in Vegas, and then where I work down in the main street, you give people money, they end up going to go buy drugs with it. Like I have literally seen that the same homeless person who was asking for money on the side of a corner in downtown go over there to where the main street is because they have a little homeless community like that they built up at the time before they went and tore it down, and bought drugs over there because as I'm washing cars, I can see the whole homeless community. It's just like kind of straight. It's just straight. There's no lines of it hidden. Like you can see everything. So I've seen the same person going to go buy drugs because they went over there in the corner, um, and made a fire to cook. So I'm like, oh, okay. But that's one person. That's not everybody. But the whole situation with the homeless is out here, at least, we have people living in the sewers. That's where they live at. Then you have people that live like near the not the gutters, but the what do you call it? Like all the rainwater tends to go to when it starts to rain and it starts to flood, like that little area, they tend to like be over there. But every time it's a bunch of them that get there, which is good for them, for numbers and community, it's always a fire that happens and that burns down properties, or that just makes the situation worse. I don't own any property, so I can't really be in that whole conversation of like the property value going down or whatever. But I do have kids that go to the school where the homeless people are, like right across the street, where they tend to do all these things. This is what I'm just going to say, and cause fires that get near the school or it's an issue where I feel like my kids. Thank you, Milan. Yeah, bye. That my kids, close the door. Yeah, the actual door. Where I feel like they might be in danger. And, I don't look at homeless people and be like, oh, you're in danger. It's the activities that they do, the things that they do that create a danger to where my kids are at. Like, you're by a school, lighting fires, doing drugs. Don't you think that maybe you should do that somewhere else, not by the school, which in turn also causes the communities to get shut down with the police? And I don't know who the hell these people are, but construction people go over there to it, get the homeless people out, tear down their tents and everything, dig up the earth, and then put it back down, I guess, to unsettle the ground, and then tell them they got to go, give them tickets or whatever. It's like, you're homeless. What's the why are you even going to give a homeless person a ticket? What is that even going to do? I don't understand that. But regardless, that little situation right there.
I hear you on that. I do agree with you with the kid situation in my building. That's one of my issues. I don't like that the homeless come in and go through the trash because I don't know if you're a pedophile. I don't know who you are. You're just coming in on the property to get cans, but you sketchy or you looking kind of crazy. That can be like a really big issue. Um, for sure. Um, One of the other big things is when you were saying about drugs, I get that, a lot of them are on drugs, right? But also I think about this story of this professor. He had a degree. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I could find the link and send it to G. But basically, he wasn't on drugs until he got homeless. And once he was homeless, then he started to get on the drugs. And when I think about that, and it's also this movie, I'm not sure it was a movie that goes about it too. But basically what it is it's like when you're in that position of hopelessness, of not knowing what to do and where to go, and someone gives you a drug that makes all of that go away for a moment. And for a moment they're not living in their shitty life. That's why you see them dancing on the corner or leaning. They're not here. They're somewhere else. They're not here. So it's like, oh, for a moment I don't have to be homeless. For a moment I don't have to be hungry. For a moment I don't have to feel like crap. I don't have to feel like I could be the president. I could be whoever. There was a movie where this guy was on, well, it was the whole premise of the movie the whole time. um he actually thought he had his brother's life. He thought he was a doctor and all this different things of that nature, but it's because he was on heavy drugs that made him think that he had this lavish life, but he was actually living under in a sewer, right? But in his mind, like through the whole movie, we not knowing until the end, of course, till mid part of the movie, we thinking that he's really living like this. But reality was, we were in the writers put us in his mind, in his mindset, which is that when he's on those drugs, he has a wife, he has a kid, he has a lavish career and all these different things of that nature. So it's like it's understandable how somebody could actually, if they're at more risk being homeless, getting hooked to drugs than they are being in a regular society and screwing their life up. Of course drugs are addictive and drugs are bad, but I'm not even trying to justify them doing drugs in a sense, but I always like to look at things as a whole. And yeah, I mean, if I was homeless and I've been homeless for 2 or 3 years and I'm up here, who knows what I'll be stuck on? Who knows what kind of where I would be mentally when, and then you're stuck there and you're like you know it's like having a headache. You're gonna take a Tylenol, and that's how those homeless people use drugs. That's their Tylenol. They don't have to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we could judge them for doing drugs, but then we got to really look at the whole situation as a whole. Why do they do the drugs? What got them on the drugs? Why do they feel like this is something that they have to do over food? You know,
I can accept that. And yeah, I do think about that too sometimes when I see them. But I guess it's when it's been there for a long time. And I put myself in their situation, not all the time, but sometimes. Now I had a car, so that's already saying a lot that other homeless people might not have. But I can see if I didn't have kids and maybe depending on how bad my situation is, I might do some drugs. But for the most part, at least who I am, like if I was to be homeless today, I don't think I could. I have too much responsibilities. You know, I would somehow get my kids and my wife to like their parents' house, and I would try and do what I can out here. And I feel like just doing drugs, although it takes them away from the pain and the issues that they might have, it also takes away from, what they could be doing. I feel like there are programs and there are people I know that I went to school with that became homeless, and I unfortunately have been able to keep in contact with them or know where they're at right now. But I also know that just as there's a way for you to have an outlet for your pain and issues, there's also programs that help you. And being part of some of those programs, like when I didn't have a job and I turned 18 and I got a job through the what's that place called? the local job. I don't know what the hell they call it.
Was
It's
a
still over
job
there.
placement center or something like that?
Yeah, job placement center. Um, they helped me get a job. You know, after I had applied to get a job so many times and it didn't happen, but I got a job through them. Um, my friend, he got me a job at Pizza Hut. You know, my situation was slightly different where I had some connections or help, but as a homeless person, I would assume that you also have some connections or help, maybe not the same way that I got it, but at least it's the start. So I do, but I also believe that some people actually want to have that life because of my situation in Oceanside. Like it's some people who don't want to have it are unfortunate to go down that route. And then there are some people that do want to have that life because they don't care or they don't want to do anything or they want to live by their own rules. So I believe it's a mixture. But outside of how they become homeless or, the route that they take, it's also, up to that individual person to either keep doing the things that they're doing or to better themselves. Like when I go out for my job right now, when I go out to speak to adults, of all different types of caliber, I meet people in the park and, try and help them. I meet people at homes I'm trying to help. These are, actual adults, either senior citizens or adults that have disabilities or issues going on, but also are cognitively there. So they understand, but they choose to do what they do. Like, you have some people that decide that they're going to be hoarders. There are some people that decide that they're going to live. I just came from Tonopah, and I met with an individual who I was trying to give help to, like real help, and told him about these programs that we can expedite, to get you on, get everything going. He was there in a home with fucking bed bugs, ants crawling all over himself. Um, I know he felt it, and he's talking about how he does have a doctor, but he hasn't been to the doctors in 6 months. And it's not because he had to wait that long, it's because he didn't want to go. He chose to actually do these drugs instead of actually accepting help, going to the doctors, doing whatever it is he can, because the person who actually reached out to me about this individual was one of the individuals who was trying to give him a job so he can actually better himself. He didn't have to be on the streets asking for money. He didn't have to live in his house, but with the lights turned off and no running water, living off of a generator, and car batteries, he could have bettered himself, or he could have been in a better situation if he wanted to. But he did not want the help. He wanted to be this way. He was technically, by all accounts, do you want any help? Do you need any help? I can give you the help right now. I can take you. No, I'm fine. I don't want anything from you.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Exactly. And sometimes it hurts.
Right.
When you treat them.
Right, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like, but I don't mean you. Unfortunately, the way it's set up, the reality is just because we know that you can't stop because it's different strokes for different folks. Some people have epiphanies and say, you know what, I need to get myself together. I need to do this right. Others, it takes a little bit more. Some people, some people got to get shot before they stop gangbanging.
That's true. Yeah.
it just kind of just happens that way. Unfortunately, we like so complex, and sometimes I feel like stuff is so simple, at the same time, stuff could be simple. Like I even like solution wise, I feel like a good solution for homeless would be, let's say if the government was to get involved in funding and different stuff like that, to have basically, if they would bring some factory jobs back, or maybe have contracts with different places like Walmart or whatever, right? And then have a building. housing, right? So to live in this housing, you can't do drugs. Okay, you got to get randomly tested. Okay, they get you a job. You know, it's not that work program crap that you might get a job or you might not. No, you get a job because they have contracts with different companies to get you a job. You live there for so long, you're able to stack up your money and save up your money to where you could go, where you could leave and get you a place outside of there. That would be the next level, maybe a low income or something like that, and it will help you to get into those places. And then the cycle continues. That way, you'll be able to wing out the people who really want help versus the people who just bullshitting, right? But the problem with that is the exploitation within the programs that we have today. There was recently a case. I'm not sure if it was in Skid Row at one of the shelters where basically they've been laundering money. They've been spending money. There's like they're spending all this money on all this stuff and they saying all this money, but then at the same time it's proof that they're not giving it to the homeless people and they're not doing anything for them. So it's like, where is that money going? And they went through some files, and a lot of people are getting in trouble because the programs are there, but the people who are running the programs and owning the programs are laundering the money. They're not using the money for what it's supposed to be used for. And it's kind of like that's a whole nother issue within itself. For the people who actually want help, they go to get the help and then they don't get the help. Now they're all messed up because it's like their family gave up on them or their family wasn't capable of helping them. They don't have any friends that's capable. Then they go to a program and they also turn them away. So now it's like, okay, now what do I do? They've been turned away so many times. They've been through so much trauma that that they be like, screw it. I'll just deal with being homeless because I'm tired. You know, it's like when you're in a bad relationship and you trying and you trying and you trying, you're doing everything you can to make this relationship work, and then after a while you just get freaking tired, you know. And there's just bad people in this world. Like even I recently, my father is trying to get in Section 8, and I know somebody who worked in Section 8, and he was saying how they were losing funds. They were losing funds from different corporations because they're not giving out vouchers. So the people who's giving them the money to help with this housing is like, hey man, if you're not gonna put people in the homes, what are we giving you money for?
That,
And
and I
so
also know. I'm sorry, man.
no, go ahead. You go ahead. I'm just
No,
talking about the corruption within the system, which makes it even more difficult for the people who actually do want the help.
and you're right on that. I believe that for those companies that, well, outside of what I was going to say originally, I believe that those companies who do get those funds, I can't say all, but I personally feel it from the research that, when we read about articles or we see things happening, I feel like the government says that they're going to be, looking into the funding, or when they fund, they're going to be, looking into how the money is spent or where it's spent to make sure it's spent appropriately. I feel like they say that and they might do it originally, but then it's like it just drops. Like, we're going to do this on these dates. So once out of the year, or a couple times every couple of years, we're gonna go. I feel like it's not it's not because they don't want to, or it's more so they can't. They don't have the manpower to actually do that type of work. Um, to have someone do it, and whether that's because they need more people in that field to actually do the work, um, to make sure that everything's done appropriately, or it's just too many businesses, because every day new businesses open, and every day new businesses close, and every day new businesses are sold off under different names. And then that's a whole bunch of paperwork, and then they don't get the paperwork updated until later on. I feel like it's just a mix mash of all of this stuff. And, while they might have been on it, now when it goes through, it changes hands or changes names. Now all of a sudden it takes longer because they're like, well, what is this company? what? They don't have all the paperwork, but they're waiting for more paperwork to get done, or maybe the company's running off of funding that it already had, and since it switched hands, now they have to wait for the appropriate paperwork to come in and actually give them more funding, or they get funding from a different it's just a bunch of shit. Excuse me.
I totally agree with that. It's kind of like it's with the paperwork. It's kind of like this episode of Law and Order I once watched where it was child services, where child services was supposed to be doing a visit. I don't know, maybe every month for these kids, but they were swamped with clients, more clients than they could get done in a day. So eventually they was just checking stuff off. Oh, everything was fine, everything was cool, everything's fine, everything's cool. And then come to find out they had been neglecting some of the clients, and there was a child that was living in a cage. And it's because they're just trying to get through the paperwork. They're just trying to get through the next, and they overly, they got them swamped, and then on top of that, their superiors encourage them to meet unrealistic deadlines. So
now,
you're pushing. Well, anyway, that was the whole thing. So it was just a show, but that kind of really happens where they have them trying to reach a certain quota. And because of that quota that they're getting pressure to send, and then now they're encouraging them not to work appropriate accordingly, because they're just trying to reach a quota versus actually doing their job. Kind of
I
like a
agree with
public
you.
defender.
I know that I do adult protective services, so it's similar. Well, it's the same but for adults, right? But we have two different levels of it. You have where you have some people that handle self neglect, and then you have other people that handle all the other allegations, abuse, extortions, all the other allegations. And our office, it's not even a big office. It's probably like 70. No, actually, in my specific office, it's about 25 of us, 25 to 40 people in the office. And we're supposed to be able to handle everything from like Tanapo, like towards the middle of Nevada, all the way towards like the beginning, Needles and everything like that. And or going to the small communities, big communities. You don't even have enough cars for every individual there. The only time that you're guaranteed a car to go see people is if you're going like more than 50 miles outside of the city. Other than that, you're kind of expected to use your own car. They pay mileage for it, of course, but the sucky part about it is that there's not enough cars. I have a coworker who started the same time with me who comes from Arizona, and he said that in Arizona, when he did this, not every individual person had a car, but there was enough cars for every individual there. So if everyone just left the office, let's say one day, everyone had a car to actually go out and do the things that you need to do. Here, we only have 3 at the most. And when they're not like getting fixed or when they break down just randomly. But yeah, it's not enough people. They try and make sure you're happy so that way you don't leave. I'm happy with my job. I like helping people, and talking to them and trying to help them solve their problems. So when they ask me, you still like the job? I'm like, yeah, I still like the job. It's way better than Enterprise. So I like it. But it is hard. And it's hard to keep up. My coworker, he just again started at the same time as I did, right? We might have a different method of working, but he has over 65 active cases that he has to go see people. Some of them he hasn't even, about 40 of them he hasn't even seen the individual yet. Me on the other hand, I got probably 5 that I'm waiting to close because I've already done everything I had to do. I use my own car. He unfortunately wants to use the company car. So you have different methods. He's a good worker. It's just different methods of how things get done. And I know when I used to work for the county of LA, what you're saying right now, it's true. They didn't specifically state these things like they wanted you to do the best you could at work, but realistically, You know, they're like, hey, if you put an application, we probably won't be able to get to you. We try to get to you within like 20 days, 10 to 20 days. Sometimes though, we couldn't get to the individual until like 40, 50 days later. And this is them asking for medical or food stamps or something that they need. It's just not enough workers for the amount of people that keep asking for help. And I believe if they lowered their requirements, like they would have more help. It's a lot of people that do want to work for the state, that do want to work for the county and government, you know, and that can do these jobs. You don't need to go to school to get a degree to do the job, but that's what they want. And it kind of fucks it up.
Right. That's my other thing. Like I'm like that's why I say like the same people that's saying get a job are the same people that's withholding the jobs. And then you get into the whole fact of inflation, and you get into the you know, everything is up within the last 3 years. Some stuff is up 50-60% higher than what Sting goods were 3 years ago. You know, just in a couple years, you got great value items from like Walmart. Stuff that used to be $2 is $4, $5. You know, and this is great value. So that gives you a perspective of how much the good stuff might cost. Because you know the good stuff is always more if you want real juice, you know, and not juice drink. You know, like, you know, just like the cost of living in general. It's like Total Recall. It's like in a minute we're going to be paying for air. You know, so it's like, is it really fully, completely a homeless
Wait.
issue?
I wanna just interrupt you right now and tell you that, you
Okay.
know, on the strip of Las Vegas, they sell air that's supposed to revitalize you and do other things to you. So I'm just saying, you know, depending on the state, we're already there.
Right, and that's been going on since Malcolm and Eddie when they had the oxygen bar, right? So that's nothing new that's been going on. You know, the
Man,
oxygen bar.
that was new to me when I first seen that, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the
Right.
person who's trying to get me. I'm like, you're trying to sell me air, and the person, it was a female. She's like, yeah, but this air is supposed to like make you energy and do all. Like, where'd you get it from? It's like, well,
Right.
they make it.
Right. Well, because at the end of the day, they know the air is screwed up. You know, disclaimer here, and I don't really like to say where I'm at. And soon as you get to a certain part on the freeway, you literally can see the pollution on in the air. You can just see it. You can just see the bad, like when it's real, like on a really hot day, you can see, because technically they say it's like California's asshole, right? So it's like all of the fumes from LA and everything, it kind of comes down and it just kind of hovers, you know. It just kind of hovers at the up there. So it's like you don't notice it when you're here, but you visually can see that coming in. You're like, oh my God, like it looked
You
like
said
some
Bakersfield, right?
Yeah.
Wait, man,
So
you guys are better than that. You guys are the armpit, from what I heard.
the what?
You guys are the armpit, the armpit of California.
Okay, that's a new one. That's a new one. But I'm originally not from here, so I'm still learning. But the whole thing about it is, like I say, it's like the air quality is so bad and it's so polluted. Like that's how they're able to, like, hey, well, this is pure because, you know, however they're able to siphon the air. But yeah, that probably I can see that being a thing because it's it's illegal. It's illegal to collect fresh water. Do you know that, like, it's illegal if it's raining and you decide, you know what, I just want to, you know, fill up some bottles, boil some water, clean it, siphon it, make my own bottled water coming from the earth the natural way. If they find out, you can get fined, possible jail
That's
time.
stupid.
Very
But
stupid, right?
I heard of it before, but I don't think
Right.
within the state of California. It was a different state I heard doing
Right.
that to you guys.
I'm not sure because that's why don't fact check me. I'm not sure all the facts right now, but I've heard it several times about, like, you know, weird things that's, you know, that's illegal like that.
And to me, it's like, dang, so you telling me you own the rain? How do you own the rain? Like what gives you a right to own rain? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I don't care what government you are. Like, that's ridiculous, you know? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like you see, like, it's a bigger issue than homelessness, right? You do have your homeless issue, but the bigger issue really is not homeless. It's the cost of living. You got people
Absolutely.
You got people living check to check. You got people with two income households, but and still struggling. I literally just seen a video. I should actually forward this to G because he could be able to put it up. But I literally just seen a video. Lady said she's making $30 an hour and still living check to check. $30 an hour and still living check to check.
No, I can actually believe that, man, because I did some numbers with my job, and I seen how much you would get with $30 an hour doing let's just say an 80-hour work week minus like not even all the taxes, Nevada. Let's just say they took out like something for your pension. You sold shit that would end up being they'd probably be bringing home around 22, anywhere between I want to say $2,200 to $2,400 every pay period. And let's just go out on the limb. If you're in California, their rent's probably anywhere single $1,900 to $2,500. That's just a paycheck right there. Electricity, water, trash, sewage, gas, car note, insurance. There's not enough money, and it keeps going up on top of that.
Right.
You're
Keeps
right.
going up.
It sucks.
And then they can sit up here, they could go up on minimum wage all day. They could say, hey, today minimum wage is $100 an hour. It won't mean nothing because everything else is gonna go up $200.
I don't want them to bring the raise the minimum wage up. I mean, you know what? It sounds good. You're right on that. It sounds good. When you hear about it, especially when you get that raise, but you don't get that till like some years later. Number one, but everything else goes up like immediately. As soon as it's done, everything else goes up. You get this paycheck. They increase a little bit later on. They start giving you pieces of it. By the time you get the full amount, now you're ready to get another pay increase because things are still hard. This little thing that was supposed to help. The only time any type of pay increase really helps you, that's outside of like working at a company for years, is the fact that you're living with other people. If everyone in the household is paying, then it matters. Then you're like, oh
Right.
yeah. But when you start paying for yourself, no, and that's another thing I learned, more recently, is that the nuclear family kind of fucked everything up. I believe it's a nuclear family. When they came back and they started giving veterans the VA loan, which is good, but that took it out of like where families will be within the community, like my daughter, my son would be in the same area I was in or same city. If they needed help, if there was issues, family just helps out. It's a bunch of shit that research that goes in that family really helped out in those issues with depression, with suicide. A lot of that was prevented.
Right.
Now we have it where, like how I'm out here in Las Vegas, my family's in Lancaster, we're just separated. So a lot of help, like I got 4 kids. If my mom was out here, my mom would be helping me take care of these kids or watching them because she explains it all the time. And when she came out here, she got the kids for a good like 2-3 weeks because
Right.
she was like, yeah. So it's like things that would help us out, that would make things cheaper on us or allow us to go do more things. It's not accessible the same way it would be that it was in like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, even 60s.
Right. I totally agree. And part of that, you really go far back if you go, like, since this is the Black Man's Podcast, you could go back to the crack epidemic, right? So the crack destroyed everything. So you put all the people, you put all these people in jail. You left us with the crackheads. Now the crackheads have all these babies. They have offspring. Now you have these families that's dependent on the government to survive with food stamps, cash aid, and different things of that nature. So what happens? Kid gets grown. Now the kid can't depend on no family members. Why? Because all those family members are going through the same struggle that you can't even have anything with your family members because they're just not in a position. No, they're getting food stamps, they're getting
Yeah.
cash aid, so they can't really help you, and you realize at an early age that you got to help yourself,
Hey, hold on one second.
and that you're
Hey, hold on one second, because Keith got to go, so I know he has something to say. I want to give him a chance to say what he has to say.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, you guys switched topics like so many times. But I will say this about. I'll just make it quick. I'll try to make it quick. But yeah, about the homeless, the original topic that was asked. It's like I guess I really don't agree with any of that because I've worked in Child Haven and I've worked security for 13 years out in Vegas. And there's three types of people like that. There's obviously youth, homeless, and then yes, there's homeless people, the people who live in cars and who still live in society but don't technically have a place to live. And then the last one, which I think everybody is talking about, are fucking bums. Bums are the problem. It's not homeless, it's not youth homeless, it's bums. And that's our biggest problem. All the people that want to sleep on the street, have shit everywhere, piss on the side of the road. Like for instance, we were just going to the store. Like, so the homeless population in this area is ridiculous, and the bum population is even worse. So it's like, yes, I feel like bums should be castrated and crucified automatically. If I got rich, I would build a Thunderdome and let these niggas fight to the death, and literally pay them money for. I would get 10 homeless people on a nightly basis and be like, here's $100,000, and whoever's the last homeless person standing, or sorry, bum standing, gets the money, and then that would clear. So all that topic about, oh, you don't want dead people on your lawn. I'd rather have dead people than seeing alive people make a mess. And to say these people can have jobs, have you smelt a bum? Because I think the bus.
Yes.
And me, I feel a little disrespected every time I have to pay $5 or $2 and my kids are 10 and 12 have to pay $1 every day. But it's like they gotta literally watch a bum just walk on the bus and not a motherfucker say nothing to them. Fuck them. They could eat shit and die for all I give a fuck. Now, about 3 or 4 years ago, it was a guy out here who was killing bums. And yes, they found him and they took him to jail. They tricked him and played him. But me, if it was me, I'd have shook that motherfucker's head because he was doing me a service at the end of the day, personally.
Oh, I heard about that. I did hear about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like the bum population and the people that set up camps. Like I'm sorry, I don't like. Yes, I don't agree with everything about the rent and all this stuff. Yes, rent is expensive, but if you live above your means, like me, I don't have a car because I don't need a car. Like I live in a certain area that has shops, and my kid's school is one school is a block down the street. The other school is 2 blocks down the street. Her job is 1.6 miles away. Our job is 1.8 miles away. So if you live above your means, which I do, you don't need a car. I pay rent. We have extra money. We go out. We live our lives. So all that inflation, yes. If you choose to have 13 kids and you saying shit is too high, bitch, it's because you got 13 kids. Like take some responsibility for yourself, because I know too many people that tend to live above their means. It's like, I know I'm not home like that. To have this be like, yes, well, I like to have a big house. And yes, am I saving money to get a big house? But less, I know what comes with a bigger house comes more responsibility, comes more struggle. I know that it's common sense. But too many people say, okay, well, I want to get an apartment. I want to get a car. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should have did the apartment, paid your rent, see how it is. Not, I want to get an apartment. I want to get internet. I want to get flat screens in the house. I want to go to Furnish Center and furnish my whole house. I want to, like, nigga, wait, what? Hold the fuck up. Like, choose one thing and then see how it goes. So basically, I listen to the news all day long, hear these teachers bitch and complain. Yes, I'm not saying that teachers shouldn't get paid more than most workers because it starts with teachers. I do agree with that. But this teacher pay problem is ridiculous. But back to the topic at hand about homeless and bums and all this stuff. Yes, the only ones I feel bad for are teen youth, or I'm sorry, homeless youth, because I worked in child haven for 3 years, and I've heard these stories. I watched a lady throw her son out of her car because she couldn't take it no more and drove the fuck off. And this kid sat outside with me because I worked graveyard over there, crying his eyes out until a worker got there. Because it wasn't a worker there at the time, because I worked from 12 to 8. He sat there crying and said, yes, I'm going through some stuff, and my mom just doesn't care to understand. And like, he sat there and spilled his guts to me. I ain't no crier, bro, but I got a son. I bawled with that one at the end of the day because shit was terrible. Shit was terrible. It's like, what is this kid doing? Like, you chose to have this kid. You chose to have this kid, and any father, whether it be on this podcast or off this podcast, I take care of mine. No matter what, I'm never going to bitch about my kids. I'm never going to say life is too hard, because I am the man. I am the king. I am the omega of my family. So me, I don't have it in me to bitch about life. I chose this life. So all that rent is too high, car notes are too much, they're not paying us, bullshit. I pay $1,500, but at the same time, I could go work 13 jobs. So all that, homeless people smell. Their hygiene alone isn't going to get them a job. So stop saying people don't want to hire. Would you hire somebody if they smell like rancid piss? Are you seriously, you would hire? It doesn't matter if he's dressed up or not. Would you hire somebody that smells like rancid piss? Just please answer me that.
Right.
That's hard.
That's a that you know.
The easy answer is no.
It's a yes or no answer. It's a yes or no answer.
That's why I said the easy answer is no.
But
one at a time.
It can be right, but you said person, right? You didn't say bum, because there's also like there's elderly, right? There's people who are old and working. They have bowel issues, or they have
but that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. I'm saying you wouldn't even hire a person and to work for your company that smells like rancid ass or piss.
No, wait.
If this person is in your interview, if this person,
I want to answer your question. Okay, so if I was the owner, or depending on what the job is that they came in asking for, I to be honest, I would be honest and I would ask them. I would tell them, hey, it looks like you're good for the job, but I got a question for you. We're allowed to ask those questions. Your hygiene is coming off as a little of. I would have to be careful how I said it, because I already know how this shit would kind of go.
I was about to say, and I was going to say, that could be considered a lawsuit. And you could be discriminating against that person for a certain way, and just because they don't smell it doesn't make it not true. So, like I said,
that's true.
Good or the job or not. If this part, like I said, if you're okay, let's just say by some stupid luck, you own a fast food chain of restaurants. Doesn't matter what position. If this person has to be in a fast food restaurant.
No. If it's fast food, no.
Exactly my point. Hold on. Let me ask this. Name a regular job that a bum can go to, not an obscene job. Name me one regular job. I'm talking about security, retail, especially in Vegas. because I live in Vegas. I
Trash.
can't name not one job
Trash
that's a
man.
regular job.
Overnight janitorial. Overnight janitorial.
No. Oh,
Trash
I
man.
can't say that because you
Trash
have to
man.
go to an interview. You still have to go to an interview. It's still like I do security. It's still people here at these jobs. I don't know not one building that just doesn't have people in it. Like where you're doing janitorial positions. Like I've been working graveyard for 13 years at multiple jobs, everything from Jack in the Box, Johnny Nassif. I can go on and on. It's security. I've worked at every hotel and casino in this town on the strip. I can't name you one job that didn't have people. It's still people that you're catering to. You're catering to customers.
I think
You're right,
issue, though,
Keith. You're right on that, but
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And a trash man, and then to basically answer that question, what trash man do you see works graveyard? And from the hours of 10 at night to basically 6 in the morning, what trash man does that?
Okay, no, but Keith, I'm gonna answer your question. In general, this is how it goes. In employee handbooks, you do have it where they do have to meet certain things like a uniform. You know, you can't come in.
Oh yeah,
your hygiene has to be at peak, right? So you can go out on a limb and you can try to help an individual out. You know, you can let them know, hey, according to our policy and handbook, this is what you need to do. Now, I understand that you're coming in here because you don't right now have a place to live and whatnot, but hopefully with this money, you know, that you're going to be earning, you can, you know, afford a place to live, or at least afford something like a gym membership where you can go take a damn shower. Or, you know, they do out here, they do have those little homeless things where you can go take a shower, because I've seen them. They have that.
No.
So.
Okay. And I agree with that. And like I said, and I have a friend that works there, and he said the biggest part about them building these homeless places literally near Fremont is that homeless people, just like you guys said at the beginning of this, I do agree. Homeless people do not want order. They do not want to live in a system like all of us. They want freedom to have their shit everywhere, to hoard and not take baths, because yes, alcohol and drugs and all of that stuff. Because like I said, homeless, what makes a homeless person, and what makes a bum is not the homelessness. It makes it everything else: drugs, alcohol, addiction. I used to work at a 7-Eleven that got raided because of the owner was selling the homeless people drugs to do the job because he didn't want to pay money. It's literally 2 7-Elevens right over here where I live and by my job. One on University Center in Naples and the one on fucking Koval. The owner owned both of those, and they both got raided at the same time because he was selling drugs.
Wait, did you say University in Maryland?
No, University in Naples. And and Koval and Flamingo. This place got shot up because the drug deal went bad. At the end of all, so both of these places got raided. And because I used to walk in there and see homeless people with pipes in their hands strung out at the slot machine. This was on a regular occurrence. And there was a security guard in there, but basically people did not give a fuck. And that's the problem. Yes, people giving homeless people money. And like I said, I'm not giving a homeless person money, but I have given homeless people a sandwich from 7-Eleven and watched them put them in this bag and keep begging for money. It's not about food with them. Bums is not about food. It's about their addiction. Like I said, they need to be fucking castrated and crucified and revived and fucking beat. That's how I feel.
But you know,
like I said,
hold on. Let's see it go.
Hold on. It was a home, like I said, it was a homeless guy walking buck naked up the fucking street, bro. And for a block, and nobody did shit. So, yes, some kids were out of school. No 3-year-old little Mexican girl should see an elderly man's penis just because he wants to wake up and say, fuck the world like Tupac. Fuck him. Now
right.
You go.
Shivity, before you go, I just got to say that I agree with Keith on this because I seen that shit in Vegas. And when I was at Enterprise, I did see a man on Flamingo and Decatur, a major street. I seen it. A man was just walking down the street, butt ass naked, because he was strung out on drugs, and that's a major business street. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's not, that shit does happen a lot more often, because I would have thought that it would be happening more in the homeless areas and not like business areas.
Well, I agree. I agree with a lot of stuff he said. Not so much as the heartless stuff, but I do agree with majority of the stuff that he was saying about the different issues. But to me, I feel like when it comes to employment, that's a whole deeper dive, because it's actually the way he said it is more like an old school way, right? Because nowadays trying to get a job is like playing the lotto, right? Like you have to have the right numbers to even get in. You can't even get an interview if you don't have the right numbers. So it's a little bit deeper now. So it's like I've literally, I used to live in Lancaster, Palmdale, area, and I literally took the time out to apply for every job I possibly could apply for in Lancaster and Palmdale. And in that whole year, I think I got one call.
I agree with you, man. I tried the
I think I
same
got
thing.
one call in a year.
Yeah.
Vegas is different. If
it
you
is
say they
so,
can't find a job in Vegas, that's just you. If you because I could call a couple jobs right now and get you a fucking job if I knew you. If I knew the type of person you are, then I just like there's no way. Like me, even though I work for one security company right now, I'm still on the payroll for two more. Like I could do private security for two other companies. Like I tell motherfuckers this all the time. If you have a high school diploma, go buy a guard card and you'll never not have a job. You'll never not have a job. Like there's
right.
no way. There's
right.
like spend $145 on a piece of plastic, and for 6 years straight, you'll never not have a job. And like I said, at my job, I literally sit there and watch movies all night. I literally and fucking open the door. I get paid literally $1,300 every 2 weeks to do that. You were paying me to do this? Fuck yeah, I'll stay here. Get the fuck out of here.
Keith is right, Skivity. It's out here in Vegas, it's real easy to get a job. Before I was able to go get
California, yes, in fucking Palmdale, Lancaster, I moved out of there the day after my high school graduation. I agree with that. I would have never have stayed out there.
I've heard this before. The whole Vegas jobs thing, but then I've known people to move there and move back because they were struggling. So it might be maybe it's a method to it, but also the thing what I really wanted to say was what is your take on the people who, because we've become an academic society, right? Because we took away a lot of labor. Okay, and we continue to do this. We continue to do this stupid practice. If you go into the Walmarts and stuff, you see there's no registers. It's self-checkouts. This is stupid.
Oh no, I love that.
In my opinion,
I fucking hate people. I'm sorry. People are too fucking emotional. So me, right. I love self-checkout. I love not dealing with a fucking person first and foremost. I don't like useless fucking conversations. The older I get, the more patience I lose. If I come to Walmart, I come to Walmart, I come to get my shit and get the fuck out. I don't want to hear about Ethel's grandkids. I don't want to hear about Earl's fucking toe fungus. I don't want my cashier and the bagger to be having a conversation while basically he's just throwing my shit in the bag because I'm ready to fire on somebody. Like, bitch, don't put my bleach with the bread because you and Ernest want to have this secret sex talk that y'all talking. I'm about to kill you and Ernest here in a second if my boy touches this bleach, bitch. Like, so I love
I just go to Target because I don't like that. Like,
you ever heard the term "it take a village to raise a child"?
I don't agree with that for one reason. I wish you could see my kids. My kids have been raised by me and my girl for the last, I would say, 8 years.
Well, the
and
reason
I'm sorry, I don't believe it takes a village to raise a child. It takes two parents who fucking have these kids and basically who are willing to do what it needs to be done to
well, it's just
basically
a
raise these
metaphor.
children.
It's just a metaphor.
Oh
What I,
no!
what,
Oh no! Oh
but
no!
what I'm
Oh
getting
no!
at,
Okay.
yeah, what I'm getting at is like, technically for years and for centuries, I mean, before we got modernized, you had tribes and different stuff like that. So
Yeah.
community is the key. Community is one of the key factors of survival. Okay, so
Hmm.
you have that community because you're not gonna always have it. You're not gonna always. Somebody else might have a skill you don't have, and you might have a skill that they don't have. That community, and that you might have an idea. Somebody else might have a better idea, or somebody might have something in the middle, and you guys can come together and make gold. But it's like
Hmm.
that community aspect of it, right? So you want I get to not like, being an introvert and everything like that, but having a bigger community can help you grow. It can help you grow within society because now you have, like you say, if I knew you, I could get you a job. Now,
Yeah.
now let's say if you don't know nobody, then there's plenty of people that don't know nobody, and that's a lot of the times why they can't get a
Hmm.
job. So
Oh, and that's a
community is
given.
right, and so community is good. And then think about when I look at self checkout, I look at well, what's it replacing? It's replacing one of the highest position in that store. One of the
Well, wait,
highest
wait.
positions.
Can I interrupt real quick, man?
Yeah,
I just want to add my 3 cents. And we're talking
go
about
ahead.
Walmart specifically. I
No,
think it
just
is
I'm just
better.
I'm just
No,
I'm just saying.
no. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about any
I'm
place
just
that
saying
No,
allows
stores.
self
I
Period.
was
checkout.
I
I'd
was
rather
just
go
talking
to
about
self
Walmart
checkout.
period because we all know that it'll be like 20 lines, but only 3 lines
No,
open. So I just
no.
that's all I
Exactly.
just had to
Bond,
say.
Bond, Bond and Smith does that shit because I get off work at 8 o'clock and there's always one register open, one door open. It's like, bro, okay, this is ridiculous. It's 10 people in this one line and there's only one register open. On the
Everybody else is
on the
shopping.
fucking second, bitch, you know everybody got fucking food stamps, asshole, and you want to have one line open in the morning. Kiss the blackest part of my ass. That's stupid. That's stupid. But like I said, still, me personally, I don't like I said, I learned a long time ago that yes, I'm not saying that you should fire people because I used to be a card pusher and like I used to take pride in my job. This is back in 2007 and they didn't have the electrical card pushers and this and that. And I used to like at Walmart be fucking carrying 20 cards. I was beast. But it's like, yeah, in my mind I'm just like, okay, we can get a cart that does this just efficiently. I shouldn't have kill myself to make it a little bit easier. So a couple years later, they actually got a cart that you ride around and the damn thing, can you can just hook it to this thing and it pushes the carts. So it's like, yeah, as I thought, like, damn, that's crazy that how they did that, but now it's taking people out of their work. But then I think about, we're in Vegas, summertime. Do you know how many times I almost passed out and got lightheaded in the summertime from pushing 20 carts because they telling me to hurry the fuck up? Fuck you, bro. I'm about to kill myself out here. And you don't want to use Gatorade, water. We got to pay for everything. Like, okay, well, you can have this fucking machine do it for that. I'm not going to kill myself because we don't have any cards because it's the first of the month. And everybody in their dead grandmother in this motherfucking store. Fuck you.
Right.
You come out here and help me get these cards.
Right, and that's the problem
true.
too. So your problem, both problems that you just said was, the fact that the companies don't want to pay more money. They have one line open because they're not paying anybody else to run the register. So they keep one part open. They don't want to pay anybody else to go get carts. So they got you killing yourself out there trying to get the freaking carts.
No, I don't. But see, I disagree with that. I disagree with that because the simple fact of, can you say it's because the company won't pay more money, or is it that they know that people are going to come here regardless of the fact? Because I know if I ran a business, it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, people can make so many videos about McDonald's and how it's bad for you, how we show you that the burgers don't expire. All these videos, and this is just one place, all these videos about McDonald's and how you shouldn't eat it, and the line will still be around the corner from the hours of 6 to 10 because people don't want to cook. So miss me with that bullshit. They used to put cigarette shit up in the. I'm saying they know that people, businesses know that people are predictable, and people are going to do it regardless of the rest. Just because it's one worker, you're still going to stand in this line because you're here. I don't give a flying fuck if I put 2, 3, 4. Why would I pay 6 other people to basically be in these registers and you're going to come here regardless of the fact because we know you, we know that you have no will to be like, fuck you, I'm not standing here. I already grabbed my shit. That's on us, bitches. That's why I said I love
right.
checkout.
Well, that's because it's kind of like us guys, right? If we playing football and we fucking fall down, what's the coach gonna tell you? Walk it off, take it on the chin. You know, like that's
probably
just,
not now.
Right, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, back in the day, right? So that's kind of how.
But that's sure back in the day. No, right, not now. Everybody in that mama goes run on that field and pick you up and carry you and baby you, and here's a titty, here's a fucking bottle.
Right.
No.
But what I'm saying, well, my whole thing is like it's like that because we're gonna deal with it because whatever your situation is, you know, sometimes like for instance, like I don't want my daughter eating McDonald's. I don't like to eat McDonald's. But guess what? When I'm broke, I'm broke and ain't nothing in the house. I take my fat ass to McDonald's at that point. At that point, because I'm like shit. Like I'm like, it's nothing else. I have no choice. I want to eat better, but guess what?
You can go real far at McDonald's, don't it, brother?
Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's one of those situations. Not only if you really get deep, we've been mentally programmed to eat McDonald's because what did McDonald's do? They McDonald's did the same thing Coca-Cola did. They targeted their future customers. Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola and McDonald's, they strategically did this. They're like, okay, this is a 10-year plan. If we target these kids, by the time they're adults, this is all they're gonna want. You know, it's just like a kid. It's like when you give your kids, if you get a kid, I teach you now, I know somebody right now. If you never fed a kid McDonald's, you just gave them fruits, veggies, and natural foods and different stuff like that. Certain foods is too salty for them. Certain foods is too sweet. Drinks are too sweet. These sodas and stuff, they don't even like it because they're not used to it, right? They're not used to that thing that doesn't taste like food to them. If you bring some Africans over here and you try to give them our food, they don't want it because it doesn't look like food to them because it's not what they grew up on. So unfortunately, we in a society where we grew up on this cheap shit. On top of that, we were put in a position where we had to buy the cheap shit because it was some cheap shit and we didn't have no money. So now you got cheap shit with people with no money that gotta eat regardless. It's not like we could go out and hunt a gazelle, so we gotta eat. So boom, now we eating this crap. And now we've been eating this crap for 10, 15, 20 years, and then you tell us it's messed up, and you now you just want us to cold turkey get off this drug, and it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't work like that. It might take you 15 years or more to wing yourself off of it because you've been eating it for 15, 20 years. You get what I'm saying?